Hello everybody, this video is intended to show you how to create a video to help complete your Create a Presentation assignment in our Unit 12 folder. And some of you may have done this before, especially if you're a gamer. A lot of gamers seem to be kind of oriented towards doing screen capture videos or are familiar with some of the tools that you can use. But my intent here is to show you a real simple way to accomplish the work without really um, going too far or doing anything necessarily difficult or even installing software for that matter. I mean, really the best way to screen capture is to have an independent piece of software. So for example, I use a piece of software called TechSmith Relay, which is related to Camtasia Studio. But it is a product that the school provides for me and does cost money. I think they have a trial version, but it expires after, I think, a reasonably short period of time. So what I'm showing you here is an alternate way to screen capture, and that is to use some of the tools that are built into the Google App Suite. If you go to your little apps icon after you've logged into your gateway email, you can go to YouTube, and then you'll end up on your own channel. And I actually have multiple Google accounts, so what you're seeing here is I'm actually switching to my school-based one, so I'm not pulling in stuff that goes to my personal account. I like to keep them separate, basically. And I would recommend the same for you, that you keep all your school work distinct. The other thing that you would need to do is come up here to this little icon, and it really kind of depends on which version you're using, because if you're an active YouTuber, you might have some different interfaces that you're presented with, but in general we go to this little icon here where you're given the option to either upload video or go live. Now if you already have a video created, like I do with my screen capture stuff for class, I save that to my local hard drive, and then I choose upload video. It uploads to YouTube, and then YouTube renders it and then adds closed captioning, and I publish it, and then you guys can see it shortly after I create them. But the other option that you have is to choose this Go Live selection, and that'll put you into a different interface. Now I haven't used this in a while, so actually the interfaces they're putting up on the screen right now are kind of new because they've kind of revamped a lot of the stuff. But I'm just going to give you an example. So I'm going to just call it example screen recording. I'm going to make that public so anybody can see it. And I would prefer that you do that, but if you're shy about it, then and you switch it to private, you notice that only you can view. But if you put it as unlisted, anyone with the link can view. That might be okay. So if you don't want the world to see it, but you want anybody that has the link to see it, that hopefully me, your instructor, that might be a better choice for you. I'm going to leave mine set to public because I am going to actually leave the video out there, and this is a demonstration because conceptualize this, I'm already screen recording myself screen recording, so I'm actually going to end up with like 2 videos, but the second video isn't going to have the stuff I'm talking about right now. I'm not going to change any of the other selections. I always put everything in an education category. That's really kind of up to you what you do. You can schedule the release for a later time, and you can also upload a custom thumbnail for it, which would be the image that appears in the gallery on YouTube when you do a search for it. Otherwise, it kind of picks a random frame. They have this new thing now that they do where it says, no, it's not made for kids, and that's not my intended audience here, so I'm just leaving that alone. So the next thing I'm going to do is click Create Stream, and then I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do. So let's take a look at what they have here on the screen. It says download and set up your streaming software. And let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to click that link, and then they come in here and they show you a number of different tools that you can grab. Now I know that people who are gamers will have certain choices that they make, and you can see that there's more than a couple of them here, so that's definitely a possibility. I will tell you that I know that most gamers tend to go with this OBS software. That's a really popular one. So you will need to choose one of these tools to set up for your environment. I'm going to pause my video here for just a moment. Now, one thing that you'll have to keep in mind is that this does require, if you take this approach, it does require an additional piece of software. So whatever software you choose, you'd have to go out and download it, install it, and then you would have to combine it with the Google technology in YouTube to actually provide the stream address. And then once the stream gets going, it then ends up in your YouTube account, and then it is viewable later. So basically what's happening is you're broadcasting something live, and then it gets recorded, and then you can share it with the world. Now, while that's okay, it's not really kind of the best way to do it. In the past, YouTube used to have a mechanism for actually allowing you to do this without adding special tools into your interface. It was just built in. And you know what? They do still have the tool, but they're kind of trying to bury it now and kind of get away from allowing people to do that. They really want you to use third-party software or other tools to do it, because it ends up making better videos in the long run. So that's why they're moving away from it. Now, a tool that I've been using, and I paused for a moment just to make sure that I still had it on embedded in my browser, is this tool called Screencastify. And let me actually type that in here. So this is how it's spelled. And you can go to their website, and you notice that it is free. It's a somewhat limited product, keep in mind, so it's a trial version. But it's fully functional, and you can create some nice short videos without having to do any additional work. If you don't have it installed, you'll get a button here that says Add to Chrome, and if you're using Chrome, it drops in pretty easily. Once you have that up and running, then it's just a matter of finding it on your apps. So, for example, depending on how your toolbars are arranged, my apps pop up on one of the toolbars for Chrome, so you can see Screencastify right here. Otherwise, you might have to go into this interface and then find the actual tool if it's not listed in the toolbar. Now, you'll notice that I don't have the app listed here because it's technically an extension. So one way you can actually access extensions is to come up here and actually type Chrome : / extensions, and then you can make sure that it is enabled in this tool box here in order to pop up on your screen. So you'll see that I have it here, and the switch is flipped to blue, so you know that it's on, and then it pops up here. All right, so now that I have it up on the screen here, to operate it, it's really simple. First of all, it is helpful if you have a camera and microphone, but I know that some of you are shy and cameras are not really required for the recording. And I usually opt to never record my face because it always distracts me, especially if I'm looking at the screen, so I omit that and just capture my voice. And I'm just using a laptop. I'm not using anything fancy, so I'm just using the microphones that are built right into the machine. And you can see from the little interface that pops up, it tells you that some stuff is limited here, and it of course wants you ultimately to upgrade and get like the full version. You can do some much more powerful things. If I remember right, there's a limitation of a max of 5 minutes for a video, which for most of you should be fine. And if you're going beyond 5 minutes on your presentation, frankly it's too long. You should be able to get through the material faster than that. So now notice what you can do here. You can select all the different stuff that you want to connect up to, but the first thing you want to check is which devices you're using and how you're set. So right now they're looking at frame rates and the tabs, but I really want to record my whole desktop. I don't want to just record one browser tab. I mean, I suppose you can do it that way if you want, if you can get it all up on screen. But for me, it's usually better if you just capture the whole screen. I'm not going to do webcam only for the reason I already described. Desktop will get that whole screen. The other thing you want to do is make sure that your microphone is turned on, and then if you have multiple microphone choices like I do on my system, because I have external headsets that I use and other stuff, I'm just making sure that I'm using the internal microphone array on my own, which is the two little microphones right above my screen. So I'm making sure that's selected. And then you notice here there's a little icon, and they have a setting, and right now I'm adjusting that, and I'm not seeing that there's anything coming into it, so that concerns me a little bit. It shows me, it basically is saying that there's nothing is recording. Now I'm wondering if that's because my microphone is currently being used by my, this tool here, and you can see that it is reading it, but it is pretty quiet. So one tip I might give you is if you have an audio control panel on your computer like I do. Mine came with Beats Audio, and there's other similar ones like that. That you see that there's an adjustment here for that microphone that I selected, and even though it's pretty loud, it might not be reading as loud as it could be, and sometimes they have these like boosters here, and you maybe even lost my audio there for a moment while I was goofing around with it. I'm going to assume that this is okay. Right now it seems like this one is selected, which is not what I want. So I want to make sure that this is on the right thing. I'm also looking at some of my other settings here to make sure that everything is okay. So I am assuming that I'm all right here. Check, check, check. Yep, I think that's going to be a little better. Now my recording probably got a lot louder. But I have this tool here in the background that automatically adjusts the volume, so I think that's a little bit of what's going on here. Either way, when you play with this tool, it should have like a little, what they call a VU meter that goes from like green to yellow to red. And you really don't want it hitting the red all the time, but at the same time, you don't want it being too quiet. The other thing that you need to do is if you do want to include your webcam in there, you can turn it on. And you know what? I'll turn mine on for a second so you can actually see my face and get a kick out of it if if that's the case. But then, there's not really too many options here. It's just basically, what are you recording? Your cam, your desktop, or a browser tab, microphone, your webcam, and then you just hit record. When you do hit record, your face will pop up down here. Yes, I'm a little frightened by myself. And then it brings up this tool here that asks you to record your entire screen. Now, those of you that use Blackboard Collaborate or other tools that have screen sharing, such as Hangouts or like that, you may get the screen just automatically pop up. If for some reason you don't, you might be asked to install a secondary plugin, which you should do. And sometimes the notifications will come up here in your address bar, either on this end or that end. And so be mindful of those, because it might be asking you permission to activate or install a plugin, in which case you should say yes. Otherwise, it won't work. I'm going to go ahead and click share. And you can hear it just did a countdown, and it's showing me what it's recording. And right now it looks like it's recording just my face, which is horrifying me a little bit. But I'm going to go ahead and stop it just to show you kind of like the end result of it. So now that it's all done, actually it looks like it captured the screen just fine. And all right, so you get the idea here, but apparently I'm able to capture two videos at the same time, and it worked just fine. But this is a way that you can present stuff. Remember, you don't have to turn on your webcam, but this is the tool that I recommend. It's the easiest one that I found for doing quick little videos. When everything is all said and done, notice that what will happen is it'll just get automatically uploaded to your Google Drive. You can just come here and copy the link, go view it on the drive. And I would recommend testing it first before you send it in. But then once you have it all set, you can just copy that link, go to Blackboard, paste it in, upload it, and check it. If you struggle with it, remember that I have all assignments set for multiple uploads, so you can actually go ahead and do multiple tries if the first one fails. I usually look at your last upload first for grading, just so you know. All right, hopefully you found that helpful, and this will help you complete that presentation assignment. Oh, one other thing, I was just about to stop the recorder, and I just had this little revelation I thought I should share with you. Another way that you can actually do this is you can actually use PowerPoint or Google Slides And I know both of those tools also allowed for slide annotations. So like if you create a new slideshow, and I'm sure you guys know how to create PowerPoint, so you can type in your text and add images and whatever stuff you want to do to it. But I believe that there's little tools inside here that allow you to add. Okay, so for example, here they are. So to add audio, for example, so you could create a slide and then insert audio, which is just a recording of your voice, and add it to each slide. And then as they watch the slideshow, your voice could annotate it as well. You can do this with PowerPoint. I think, honestly, it might be easier to use the Screencastify tool, and then you can try it a couple of times, and maybe the first time will be great. I tend to not worry too much about editing my videos because I do so many of them. But if you get really picky, you can take your time and do multiple takes, and you can pause the video and process, plan what you're going to say in advance. I don't want this to be a big production. This is really just kind of a way for you to explore some tools that you might not otherwise use that might come in handy for you in the future for many different reasons. All right, so please explore and have fun. And if you get stuck at all, please remember that you can reach out to me for help via email or phone call or whatever works for you. All right, folks, take care. This video ends here.